This episode is a little bit, yeah.
Hey,
1964's The Edge of Destruction is the third Doctor Who story, and boy is it a weird one. Right at the end of the last episode of the previous story, The Daleks, the TARDIS randomly decides to die, rendering the Doctor, Ian, Susan and Barbara unconscious. Oh my goodness, the TARDIS is dead. What a monumentous occasion, the likes of which we've never seen and likely never will again. Everything about this two-part story is structured very poorly for a first-time viewer. It's almost impossible to understand without any outside context. For instance, Susan, Ian and Barbara all wake up and start acting really strange. Well, if not for the back of the DVD cover, I would have no clue that they were supposed to be experiencing brief memory lapses as opposed to the, cliche amnesia. The characters all meander around for what feels like an eternity, while seemingly random occurrences just happen around them. There is technically an explanation to what's going on, but I'll cover that at the end. So you've got all the actors acting strangely, the TARDIS console electrocuting people sometimes, the doors opening and closing at will, which is somehow relevant to something, and everything is reacted to with as much confusion as the viewer while the Doctor tries to piece it all together. I guess it's an interesting enough mystery setup, just way too soon in the series for us to know enough about the characters and the TARDIS to have any indication of what might be going on, making it quite difficult to stay invested. Random ass stuff keeps happening until the ultimate nonsensical reveal. It smash cuts to something mangled that the viewer can barely make out, followed by Barbara in hysterics throwing her watch away. What? After more randomness, accusations, and incorrect assumptions, the Doctor deduces that they're all about to die. Hooray. But after everything that's transpired, it turns out that the cause of every bizarre event is the result of a faulty switch. Okay, so for 2 straight episodes, random things that don't make any sense and seemingly have no explanation keep happening, and you're just left to wonder what's going on? All the result of a little spring being stuck inside a switch, like a toilet flusher being stuck down. Wait, how does that lead to Susan being possessed? Okay, explanation time. I didn't just want to drag on this episode and let that be the review. I was so sure that there had to be some kind of backstory or explanation into the making of the serial. And surprise, surprise, I was right. Thankfully, I didn't have to look very far. On the DVD is a selection of bonus features, one featurette in particular going into great depth into the making of the episode, what led to it, and what was supposed to be going on the whole time. It's quite a long featurette, so to summarise, the previous serial, The Daleks, went over budget, and there was a 2-week gap in the shooting schedule while they hurriedly finished building props, sets, and costumes for the upcoming 7-part epic Marco Polo. So with limited time and no budget whatsoever, a brief mystery story was written regarding entirely within the TARDIS set. So that's how it came to be, but what was actually supposed to be going on the whole time? Well, the same DVD feature breaks everything down, that because of the faulty switch, the TARDIS itself was trying to send clues to the characters as to what was happening. Oh, don't worry, none of it makes any sense though. Like, that object you can't quite make out is meant to be a melted clock, which we've never seen in the TARDIS console room before this moment, somehow equals being robbed of time? Okay. Or the TARDIS somehow making the Doctor and Susan have a sore neck is somehow meant to correlate to something else they're supposed to figure out. It's impossible to follow along, and that, I feel, is the biggest flaw in this story. To me, a good mystery is one that you can follow along and actually have a good chance at working out yourself, or at the very least, make sense once it's revealed. Bad mystery is one where the audience is given little to nothing to go on, with only the protagonist having any clue what's going on, keeping the information to themselves until the final revelation, often revealing things that we never actually saw. Think Sherlock, for example. There's nothing for us to follow here, nothing to latch onto or understand. Just 2 episodes of random things happening while we wait for it to wrap up and provide us with some sort of explanation. Obviously, knowing how it was made can somewhat excuse its lack of quality, but honestly, after watching it the first time and not enjoying it at all, watching the special features, and then watching it a second time with all the information I needed, it's still not a fun time because the whole time I'm just sitting there like, oh, okay, that's what it means. Still doesn't make any sense though. This is probably the closest thing I've seen to a bad classic episode so far. But hey, that's sci-fi for you. Knowing my luck, this episode probably has like a cult following, and I'm dreading finding out in case I'm ridiculed for my unpopular opinion. So while I don't recommend watching it, I still leave it up to you to decide whether or not to watch it and make up your own minds. Having said all that, it was nice to have the Doctor reference the previous two stories, just adding to that nice continuity feeling. Plus we got to hear about some previous unseen adventures, not to mention the indication that the TARDIS may have some kind of conscience. Also, while some people quite like William Hartnell's monologue at the end of episode 2, I absolutely love the scene where Barbara tears into the Doctor, finally standing up to him and just ripping him to shreds over the terrible, abhorrent behaviour he's displayed since they met. It was a truly applause-worthy moment for both character and actor, and as a result, we finally got to see just a slither of humanity just peek through the Doctor's harsh exterior. Look, I had to end it on a positive note, didn't want to spend the whole review bashing it. I'm quite glad I did actually look into the creation of the episode so I can have some semblance of respect and understanding. Appreciate the effort, but I still don't think I'll ever revisit this one outside of another marathon. Thank you as always for watching. This concludes the 3 stories that make up the beginning box set. Next time, we'll be diving into the void of lost Doctor Who episodes. That's right, hopefully you'll see me when we uncover the 7-part epic Marco Polo.